Hello again, fellow YouTubers. Solomon Pleasant back for another Card 5 Vanguard deck profile. This here is our last for fun deck profile. You know, I say for fun lightly because I've been looking at some of the new stuff Bushiroad's been making for Card Fight, and I'm like, you know, you're not even anymore. If you don't know what I mean by that, look up the word resist on the Vanguard Wikipedia, and you'll understand what I mean. Just gonna give my opinion in the fact that they're not trying anymore. They're really not, so I'll kind of explain that more in my update video, which, mind you, will be soon. It'll be before the new year is over. It'll probably be after I finish up with the Breaking Bad reviews. Those are almost done, so I'm happy about that. Anyway, let's get into the deck profile. So, this is a for fun Granblue deck profile, and as you can see, I'm using the starter Guiding Zombie, which has the Forerunner skill and put him into the soul. Put three cards in the drop zone from the top of your deck. Why am I using Guiding Zombie instead of my normal Night Kid? You'll see in a bit. Just starter Guiding Zombie. Grade 0 lineup, same as pretty much any other Granblue deck I've ever made. 4 Banshees. 4 Banshees are always standard in Granblue until they mess with that. 4 Night Spirit. 4 Cannonball. 2 Rick and 2 Rogue. 4 heal. And 2 Chappies. 2 Chappies because in this deck you actually do kind of want stuff in the drop zone just a wee bit. So it's nice to have Chappies there. Only 2 because couldn't fit for 3, and 4 would be overkill anyway. Again, I've already stated that 3 is maximum for Chappies, so there's that. Grade 1 lineup. 2 Ripple Banshee, because in this deck I actually do want to give my unit some form of beefing, and this is a pretty free way of doing that. Just placing it, give it +2, or, you know, call it from the drop zone, give something +2. Can be really helpful. I really actually like the card, so that's also kind of why, because I think the art looks really nice, and this is actually a deck where, again, I want to beef up my units just a little at times. 2 Evil Shade, this is a deck where, again, you want stuff in the drop zone, so he is a really good booster for Granblue overall. It's like Ruin Shade, except, hey, have to be boosting a Vanguard, and I get +4, so I'm a 10k swinger. You all know what Evil Shade does at this point. If you don't, look him up. There's the skill, though, just kind of there. Again, when it comes to, like, Vanguard boosters, I usually run, like, 2. 3 would be a maximum. 3 is a bit overkill, in my opinion, but if somebody runs 3, if they justified it, that would make sense, so there's that. 2 Sea Strolling, because Sea Strolling is always going to be an amazing card, for Granblue at least. From the drop zone, place on rear guard, so +1, and 5 Granblue Vanguard, draw a card. Really good unit. In this deck, it can be counterproductive when you see what I'm actually using, but for those situations where I don't have hand, she's nice to have. And I will find myself calling her out from time to time. 4 Samurai Spirit. Easiest way to get stuff out. Easiest unit to get out of the drop zone. Again, you'll see in a minute why I use 4 of him. Because now you might just be like, why using 4? Why not use some Deadly Nightmares? You'll see. And 2 Romarios, because I want some AK beat stick in there. I want some beef, but I thought I was using 3, but I'm not, so I guess that's fine. So there's your 1 lineup right there. Grade 2 lineup. I run 2 Skeleton Swordsmen. This guy actually helps me a lot in this deck. Now, granted, this deck does not win, but this guy really keeps the game going, because when I call him out late turn, it's just like, hey, I'm here to help you block because you might not have stuff in your hand. So he is a really, really nice addition to a Granblue deck. I understand why a lot of players might not use him, but in this deck, he's actually a very valid reason to run 2. So 2 Swordsmen with that special intercept ability of, hey, I get +5 when I intercept, so just read that. 3 Dragon Corrode. I think I'll continuously be using Corrode regardless because it's just an awesome card. I really don't understand why some people don't why War Lycan specifically does not like this thing. Call from the drop zone, become a 12k. With all the combos Granblue can pull off with the drop zone, I really don't get why he wouldn't use this. It's a really good card. I'm using 3. He's a 9k. He's really effective. Running 2, the Restar Chef Pietros. Funny, I should be running 3. Oh well. He is my damage unflipper. Now, usually I don't run this guy. In this deck, I do. I almost never get him off, but what I've noticed when deck testing him, he applies a lot of pressure. Because my opponents usually don't want damage unflipped. So, this guy, really effective actually, in this deck specifically. I won't be using him in other decks probably, but in this deck, pretty good. And then, 4 Blue Bloods, 10k Beat Stick. Need some Beat Stick power in this deck. You'll see why in a minute. So, pretty standard there. Now, once I reveal my grade 3 lineup and explain how it works, I'll just kind of explain why I made this deck. So, first off, I run 2 Dragon Undead Malefic Dragon. This is kind of like my Swordsman. I can't remember his name. He's the 10k that gets +2. Except, this thing also has the Vanguard ability of, hey, you're a cross ride, I get +10. Or, hey, you got a trigger, I get +10. So, it's really there for those situational battles where I'm just like, hey, I can actually use that skill. I'll oftentimes call this thing the rear guard, but it's also for situations where I'm like, hey, I can use this on Vanguard. So, really nice promo, really effective Dragon Undead, pretty effective. I run 2 King of Demonic Seas Baskirk. Why? I like Baskirk. Also, I will keep trying until I can actually get this Mega Blast off that says, hey, I fill my entire field with Granblue units that all have skills of when they're called from the drop zone. Again, considering there are no break rides in this deck, this isn't the most effective unit ever, but it's still a fun unit to use, and I love pulling him out every time. And I have used this skill like once or twice, so that, and I've noticed that sometimes Mega Blasts do kind of win with that whole Soul Charge, get +2, so they can kind of pull off some trickery that not a lot of units have been prepared for, because nowadays Vanguard's what it is. And finally, if you can't tell what I'm actually running, this should make it easy. I run for my avatar, Spirit Exceed. What does he do? Superior chooses a card named Samurai Spirit, that's why I have 4, and Knight Spirit, that's why I have 4. From Rearguard, put him into the Soul, and Superior Ride, if I have a grade 2 or higher. So, helps out Baskirk, that's what I've noticed. Was watching the old school anime, like the good season 1, and saw this deck actually being used. I'm like, wow, if this deck actually still wasn't in today's time, this could have actually worked probably. Yeah, so it's a very simple deck, really easy to build. It's a pretty close to a budget deck for Granblue. Like, I think the only things you'd have trouble finding are the Exceeds, Baskirk, and probably Chappie. That's about it, though, because I think everything, maybe even Pietro, but again, I'm just naming off rares, because most of it is common, and it's Granblue, so you shouldn't have that much trouble finding it. Now, I'm just going to leave one of these here, so you guys have something pretty to look at when I explain why. So, I again, was watching the anime and I saw this going on, and I thought to myself, man, has Vanguard changed? It's changed a lot. It really has. Yeah, it really has. I didn't want this to be a full rant video, but I guess I kind of will talk about my feelings on Vanguard just a little bit right now. If you guys just wanted the deck profile, you know, to be nice, for those of you who want, like, the actual deck profile so you don't have to listen to me rant and can have an image to freeze on, I'll just kind of set this up so that for people who are like, hey, Spirit Exceed may be a fun deck to mess around with, because, you know, that whole thing about superior riding from the drop zone just by putting stuff in the soul, which can be useful for anyone that requires soul, that might actually be somewhat beneficial. So I'm just gonna, I think I just figured out a better way to do this. So I might as well start talking. So I was just kind of looking at Vanguard and seeing a lot of the new stuff. Again, resist is something I just learned about, like, yesterday, and I just kind of sat there, and I'm just sitting there looking at this, and I'm like, you know, when did Vanguard stop being fun? And I'm serious when I say that. When did Vanguard... I'm gonna raise this up so... When did Vanguard turn into something where all you really do is screw the rules and just kind of find something else? Crap, how do I do this? Come on now. Ooh, this might work. There. There. Sorry for the weird way I'm setting this up. I'm just trying to fit everything in here. It's really weird, but hopefully you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. There's that. Yeah, just cut. Yes, make it harder for me. Very well. It's not like people haven't done that enough already today. Alright. I'm just sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, when did Vanguard stop being fun? Because it did. It really has. I'm really just ashamed at this point to even say, yeah, I'm associated with Vanguard, because I look at all the things... Yeah, there is no actual way. Wow, okay. I really miscalculated. If I could actually... If I raise it up more... Maybe this will work. Let's do science today. I mean, just everything... Legion... I've already ranted so much about, but yeah, Legion has really killed it for me. And the reason my last few deck profiles, this one and the Force 1, have been kind of lackluster and just not the best in quality, which I apologize for in advance. Because I can do better. And I'm going to say this right away, I have one deck profile left. If you guys can kind of take your guesses and see if you can figure that out. I think that, yeah, that worked. This works. I like how this is. I'm liking this. I did something good today, guys. Yay me. So just gonna... And then... Boop. There we go. So... yeah, I was just kind of like... I know I'm filling up time by doing this, and I apologize, but I feel like I just need to get some of this stuff off my chest. It's just... Vanguard has gotten to a point where it's not fun anymore. It's not. I mean, I tried. I really tried with Legion. I looked at Granblue Legion. I mean, at the most, the only way I'm going to be touching Legion cards is if I want to collect them for Granblue's sake, but even then, that probably isn't going to happen because I have better things to do with my life at this point. I really can find better ways to spend my time than simply just watching all these new things being made that are simply just, in my opinion, a complete disrespectful outlook on what Vanguard used to be. It used to be a game about skill where, you know, you could do almost anything you wanted and you might actually get a win off, because back when Vanguard was... in its glory days, Season 1 through 3, in my opinion, even though everything I've ripped on when it comes to Gold Paladin, which hate the clan, hate everything about it, even though I've ripped on it so much, at least during Season 2, it was tolerable, because the worst thing was just one card, Zell. So, I mean, I didn't hate anything else from Gold Paladin except Zell, and then Season 3 started getting annoying with Liberators, where I had to hate everything, but... even then, Liberators had restrictions, and nowadays, Vanguard has no real way of doing things. It's just simply, hey, let's make something. Okay, we made something good. let's make something else that can just count. Let's just make something else that can counter it. And then that's all they're doing. They're making something and then countering it with something else. They're not just letting people experiment anymore. You can't experiment in this game anymore. Like this deck would die in any tournament play at all. That's why I can only call this a for fun deck, because you can't have fun in this game anymore. There's no actual way to do that, because what everybody's gonna just do is go straight to Legion, disregard everything from the past 3 seasons, and only use specific cards that do not apply really to anything except maybe... I'm probably just talking more about like meta clans, because Granblue... Why I like Granblue so much, they're Undead Pirates, so rock on with that. But they're a clan that, when they get cards that are made, I complain about Bushiroad not giving them cards, but when they give them cards, they're cards that are mostly timeless. Like this thing right here. This thing right here. They haven't made a new one since. They haven't. It's a card that you can use over and over in any deck, or the AK, or Samurai Spirit, or Sea Strolling, for the love of God, Sea Strolling. It's amazing. It's an amazing card, and anyone who's a Granblue player uses this now because it's just that awesome. It's not restricted to anything, which is what Bushiroad's doing now. They're restricting everything about the game and turning it into something where it's like, you have to play this specific way, otherwise you will lose. That's all there is to it nowadays. And I'm going to try to make this... I'm really sorry for ranting on as much as I can, but I want to fill this up with something, because this isn't my best deck profile. It's the last for fun build. It's a for fun build. It's a lot like my Mega Colony build, my Angel Feather build, my Granblue 2 box, which I turned into a Hyrule deck, which you will see on the second channel. And on the topic of the second channel, yes, I will do stuff on the second channel. I just won't really condone anything past Season 3, because anything past Season 3, in my opinion, is complete just disrespecting of the game. It really is. And especially with that bullcrap rule ever since Legion came out, where I looked at it, I'm like, hey, you can actually mix clan nowadays and actually make it viable. And Bushiroad's like, no, you can't mix clan now. You have to either use Majesty Lord or Omega if you want to mix clan. And I'm like, that's stupid. You should be able to experiment however you want. It's just really stupid. How much Bushiroad has decided to restrict what we can do. I can't use Spirit Exceed in anything. I can't. I can't use this in anything except this kind of deck, or a deck that's for fun, because he can't fight anything nowadays, because everything else nowadays has just gotten too strong for him. I'm sorry. It's just really sad and heartbreaking, because I feel like when I first started this game, people could use almost anything they want. They chose not to use Mega Blasts and stuff like that, and I kind of understood that. Mega Blasts are hard to use. I made 2 Mega Blast decks. Mobile Hospital. Feather Palace, freaking amazing. It's an amazing Mega Blast. Vampire, it's an amazing Mega Blast. They can be used, it's just nobody wants to give a crap about them and try, because, you know, nowadays, and phone rings, thank you. Because nowadays, it's just, I have to win. There's no drive for anyone to have fun in this game anymore. And I'm going to talk more about this in a different video, probably. I'm probably going to have to make a video at this point explaining my opinions on Vanguard right now. So... again, for those of you who stuck around this long just to hear me moan and complain, I thank you for listening, because I just feel like I've been betrayed in a way. Like, I've just been dropped off and I'm nothing I can really focus with this. So, you guys are amazing. Thanks for watching this. If anyone actually builds this deck, send me a video of it. Please, just show me that some people actually watch these for fun deck profiles, to show that some people still want to play this game for fun. And for those of you who want to defend Legion, and I don't know, Stride's not the worst god-awful thing in existence. It's not horrible, and, you know, Stride kind of is trying to make it better. So at least Stride tried, but it failed, unfortunately. But for anyone who, you know, still actually likes playing this game for fun, just send me a message or an email or, you know, a video or something like that, showing that there are still people out there, so I can still have hope in something. That's all I got for this one, you guys. Again, sorry for it being lackluster, but I tried. This has been Solomon Pleasant, and I freaking love Spirit Exceed. I really do. I really hope this thing would get like a cross ride or something, or, you know, something awesome, but it's Bushiroad. I've given up on Bushiroad, so I know he won't get a Legion or a cross ride or anything. So, this card's awesome. This card's awesome. Thank you for watching my attempt at not making this a rant video and turning it into a rant video. My apologies again. I'm sorry. This has been Solid and Pleasant. Signing off.